Peace I am, peace in every moment, peace in every moment, peace I am. Peace I am, peace in every moment, peace in every moment, peace I am. Peace I am, peace in every moment, peace in every moment, peace I am. So we invite you to breathe that peace into every cell of your body. As you breathe in, you have a new opportunity to become more peaceful. And each time you breathe out, you have a new opportunity to let go of a belief or thought or idea that is preventing you from feeling the peace of God. Feeling the peace of God is different from understanding the peace of God. For as we bring our knowing and understanding into our heart, we then truly experience oneness, safety, innocence, allow the music now to take you on your very own sacred journey into feeling the peace of God. Bring the peace into the silence. gently now. Begin to bring your attention to your physical form. This sanctuary. This holy now moment. For only right here, right now, in this moment, can we truly experience and feel the peace of God. And so it is. Amen. All is well. All is well. God is balanced. How we avoid feeling, why we avoid feeling, and why it's important to open our hearts to feel more of what we're meant to feel, which is, in my opinion, all of it. All of it. Now, one of the things that happens to us early on is we invite a roommate into our psyche. And that roommate is like a computer. It only knows what people tell it. Raise your hand if, when you were a child, some people said some things that weren't so positive to you. Well, guess what? Your inner roommate remembers that and calls it up on you whenever you might be feeling a little weak, a little vulnerable. We study a man named Michael Singer who wrote the book Untethered Soul. Any other Untethered Soul fans out there? A few. And he says, if you had a roommate like the voices in your head, you would throw them out tomorrow. But what do we do with that roommate often? We entertain them. More than that, the most dangerous thing you can ever do to your roommate is believe them. They're liars. They only know what people told them. They only know how to keep you distracted from your true, divine, perfect self. Because the little inner roommate doesn't know that. It's trying to protect you, actually. It's doing its best. It's trying to tell you everything is not okay. And so it's important to recognize that inner roommate, to recognize that voice for the subjective, dishonest, unkind bully that it is. Now, how many people know about Ram Dass? Ram Dass has a great saying. It says, every neurosis I've ever had, I still have. But the difference now is, when I hear them knocking, I invite them in for a quick drink before I show them the door. Now, I don't know about you, but I have been unsuccessful in getting the roommate to be completely silent all the time. I've been unsuccessful. I really wanted an Eckhart Tolle moment. I wanted to wake up and go, I've completely disidentified from my body. I'm completely disidentified from my ego. I am enlightened. Anybody have trouble with that one? That didn't happen to me. So what I realized was, largely through reading Michael Singer's work, was that we don't have to shut them off. Now, meditation, prayer and meditation is a great way to get quiet and quiet them. But throughout your day, there is a way to deal with them that is very simple. And that is to identify what they're saying and let them know you're not buying it. It's as simple as that. You hear the roommate say, guess what? You'll never get everything done on time. And you say, I know why you're saying that. You've said it before. You were wrong every time. I always get everything done. I actually heard this. You can't get it wrong and you never get it done. Doesn't that take the pressure off? You can't get it wrong. Well, as soon as I finish, as soon as I become enlightened, as soon as I wake up completely. You never wake up completely. Here's how you know when you've woken up completely. You won't be here. So we're just going to keep going and doing it. It takes the pressure off. So now when I hear those voices, I say, oh, hello, old neurosis. I hear you trying to tell me that there's something wrong with me, that there's something wrong with the world, that there's something wrong with that person. Here's how you know if things are happening the way they're supposed to. Are you ready for this? Byron Katie says this. Here's how you know if everything is happening exactly the way it's supposed to. If it's happening. Right? I mean, it's kind of insane to argue with what's happening. Now, that doesn't mean you can't change things and make it better or be proactive. But if it's happening right now and you come from a place, wow, this is happening the way it's supposed to, it will only make you miserable 100% of the time if you don't do that. That's all, just 100% of the time. You will argue with what's showing up. So, one day I was meditating, and there I was. And I was getting into that feeling place, and I was knowing who I was, deeper and better than ever. And I heard a voice, that darn neurotic roommate of mine. And he said, what an unproductive use of your time. You have churches to call, you have flyers to send out, you have things to do. You don't have time for this wasteful activity that absolutely does nothing. So I said, nice try. I'm going to meditate here. I don't care what you think. But while I was trying to meditate, I was arguing with it. That's all it wanted. It just wanted my attention. That's all it wants. It's like a hungry little lonely child that just wants your attention. And I realized while I was telling it, no, I'm not, this is really productive. I've read several books on this, and it's caused to increase serotonin, and I'm talking about this craziness in my head, and I'm not meditating. So I went upstairs and I said, Angelina, I just received a song about the human condition. So I'm going to be the voice of Armand telling the voices he doesn't believe them. And Angelina's going to be the voice of my higher power, reminding me of what's really true. So this is called Voices in My Head, and it's off of our newest CD. So do you ever get static in your head and you go, what is all that noise? I just want to get quiet and trust and have faith. Well, it can be done, but you have to recognize the insanity first. I hear the voices in my head, but I'm not listening. They try and tell me that it's not okay. I hear the voices in my head, but I'm not listening. They try and tell me that I'm not okay. I hear the voices in my head, but I'm not listening. The silence offers me another way.
In the space behind the voices, your awareness comforts me. In the space behind the voices, I am love and I am free.
I hear the voices in my head, voices in my head, but I'm not listening. They try and tell me that I'm not okay. I hear the voices in my head, but I'm not listening. The silence offers me another way. I still hear the voices
behind the voices.
that try and tell me.
Comforts me.
I hear the voices,
Behind the voices.
the silence offers.
I am free.
I hear the voices in my head.
Behind the voices. Your awareness comforts me.
I still hear the voices in my head.
I am loved and I am
And I can hear the voices right now. They're saying things like, wow, usually the minister's away whenever we speak at church. Whoever's best right here, I want to say
I was a
everything.
little nervous tonight, and that's not for some reason, you know, I just want to be perfect.
I'm having a bad hair day.
Be
It's not
perfect.
working.
Okay, well, that's okay.
My mic almost fell off. A lot of professional
Make
in that.
sure we,
You know what? I need to
Deep
meditate.
breath.
Everything will be okay in the end. Everything will be okay in the end. I'm listening to those voices. They're completely neurotic. So there's a very cool side effect of recognizing the voices and not entertaining them and not listening to them and not believing them. Because even though I had given up the idea that they would go away and I just decided to make peace with them, the less I agreed with them, the less I allowed them to take my attention, they did get a little bit bored. And they get quieter and quieter and quieter. And of course, meditation is a fantastic way to go into that world to really, really get quiet and peaceful and not listen. But even in your daytime, every time you hear or feel something that's uncomfortable for you, that's probably a voice telling you there's something wrong. Abraham calls that your inner emotional guidance system. You might call it your GPS. It means you need to be rerouted. You start to feel something funky, you start to feel some emotion that doesn't feel good, you're probably thinking a thought that doesn't feel good. The inner voice is thinking a thought. You are the spirit behind those voices. And as we become the observer, the watcher, we have total dominion over them. But it's sometimes tricky. Now, we talked a little bit about feeling, and I believe we're supposed to feel everything. I have a theory, not proven. My theory is that our heart came into the world bipolar. Everybody's heart is bipolar, in my opinion. That means it was meant to experience the highest highs and the lowest lows. I'm not talking about our psyche or our mental condition. I'm talking about our heart. Heart to feel it all. We came here to feel it all. Now, how do you feel it all without getting seriously stuck? You keep your heart open on both ends. If your heart is open on both ends, and let's say something really tragic happens in your life, what I'm talking about as tragic as you can imagine, you can't avoid feeling that grief. So you feel it all, it goes in, and then it's released and goes out. You don't get stuck with it. If you get stuck with it, then you can lead to despair and depression. Depression and despair are feelings that have gotten stuck in hopelessness. Keep the heart open. Let's say you have the highest feeling in the world. You have the highest feeling in the world. You don't want to feel that particular high all the time. What if you're in a nice, quiet meditation group and you're doing this all the time? You bring all that in and you let it flow out. How many people like to go to a movie, a particular movie that will take you through a full gamut of emotions? I love those movies. You don't walk out of the movie for like a minute. I can't believe the lead character died. You know, why? Because you know that you are watching a movie and you allow your heart to be open to feel it all. And as you feel it all, it's also open to release. Well, guess what? We are all watching a movie. I can promise you when you look in the mirror, that's not you. It's not. The you is the one behind your eyes that is looking at the body and the personality and the emotions and the thoughts. None of those are you because all of those will move away. You will not have them forever. But the you will have that forever. Has been here always, will always be. So when you can learn to become more of that observer, from the observer standpoint, then when weird stuff happens in your life, like when weird stuff happens on the big screen, you can really feel it, you can get into it, it's exciting, it's wonderful, the deepest despair, the highest highs. But you don't get absorbed into it. You become the watcher of yourself. I even talk, this may sound crazy, but I talk about Armand in the third person a lot. And she goes, what's going on? Armand's having one of his things. I mean, because he does. He's crazy. He goes through all this stuff. He forgets all of his spirituality when the computer doesn't work. For a moment. All of it. What's happening? Armand's neurotic. He thinks it's the end. What about that song? He forgot about that song. But if I say Armand's crazy, for the moment, I become the observer watching my human frailties. We're wonderful messes, folks. We are wonderful messes. I was meditating one morning and I had a really tough relationship challenge and it ended up messy. This was just a couple of years ago. And I was like, I'm almost 55 years old. I'm still having relationship messy stuff. What's up? Why am I such a goofball? And the message from God said it. It's because you're a goofball sage. And I said, well, I like the sage part. I said, but truly, I don't think of myself as a sage. I think of people like Jesus and Buddha and Gandhi. I think of them as sages. They're certainly more sagely than I am. And the message was, that's not the point. If you think of other people as being more sagely than you, you feel inferior. And that is not knowing who you are. And I said, well, the goofball part I can certainly relate to, but they're bigger goofballs than I am, like Hitler and people like that. They're way more goofball than I am, right? And he goes, that's not the point. If you think of other people as being more goofball than you feel superior. And when you feel superior, you don't know who you are. When you know who you are, you don't feel inferior to anyone, and you don't feel superior to anyone. Because when you know who you are, you know who everyone is. There's only one of us. And so that message really resonated with me when I find myself moving. The voice in your head does not like you to be content. It loves it when you're arrogant, and it loves it when you're overly meek. It likes you to feel inferior, superior. Inferior, superior. Why? Because while you're feeling inferior, superior, it's got you. There's no oneness there. When you feel oneness, you will not be as distracted by the voice, and it just wants your attention. It's as simple as that. So, Michael Singer says, if we're going to move into this place of feeling, it's going to hurt. And most of us don't want to hurt. So we go, how can we prevent ourselves from hurting? We can avoid the things that push our buttons. But what happens when we avoid the things that push our buttons is we surround ourselves with an invisible electric fence. We've got the collar on, because we're the ones that we've set it up from the beginning. We put the collar on. And we decided every time I get near so-and-so and I feel that zap, I'm going to stand back. Now that makes pretty logical sense if you're a dog. You don't want to get zapped. So we put the fence all around us, and then as we get older and older, if we close our hearts more and more, the fence gets smaller and smaller. And it feels safe, but it's extremely confining. So what we have to be willing to do if we're really going to learn how to feel fully, really feel our feelings, and trust in God, and trust that it will move through us and out of us, the tough part. We have to be willing to get shocked. Now, it won't be fun in the beginning, but we have to recognize that beyond that shock feel, and it's only a certain amount, is the whole world of freedom. Okay? The whole world of freedom. I remember Angelina used to get shocked in her psyche every single time we went over a bridge. So we had a bunch of gigs out in San Francisco. This was probably 10 years ago. And we went over the Golden Gate Bridge about 20 times. And each time we went there, she got shocked. And each time we went over it, she got through that shock part. So imagine that you're a little doggy, and imagine that your humans have put this fence all around you, and you've been to this talk this morning, and they didn't know you could hear, but you heard it, and you think, you mean if I allow myself to get shocked through that fence, I can run away? Yeah, I'm going to try it. So here you are. Every time something comes up in front of you, a person, something that you really, really want to do, but it's scary. Remember the old book? Feel the fear and do it anyway. Most of us try to say, I'll do that as soon as I'm not afraid. That pretty much guarantees you might never do it. You feel the fear and do it anyway. So here's a little doggy, here we go. That person, usually they're a family member, pushes all those buttons. Oh, I don't want to hear our songs. Okay. I'm going to face my fears. Freedom! Right? You go right through it. You got the whole world available to you because you faced your fear. You're willing to get hurt. You're willing to feel that pain initially. Let me tell you something. Moving your church to a building 4 times as big, guarantee you there's a lot of shocking going on. A lot of shocking going on. You could have just said too much. But the building and the freedom and the joy everyone in the whole community is going to be able to experience, because many of you who are hands-on with this move and transition, all that goes with it, are willing to get shocked, because you know that on the other side of that invisible fence is a freedom that you can't have if you stay all safe and protected. So Angelina and I are going to finish up our service this morning with a song that I wrote when I was starting. I wasn't ready yet. Typically artists do stuff in advance, what Abraham calls pre-paving. They're not ready to practice what they preach yet, but they got the message. I was pre-paving that I was going to feel this pain one day, and I was not going to run from it, because I'm a runner. I'll tell you, man, give me the safe spot, you know. But I wrote a song called Learning How to Feel. We'd like to share it with you.